It's been a tough few weeks for Sheffield United. The Blades blunted so far in October, but still fourth in the table and just 2 points off of top spot. Once high-flying Norwich City are in town, also enduring an autumn slump, they've lost 3 in a row. So can the Blades once again find that cutting edge? Can they silence the Canaries here at Bramall Lane? Kick-off is just under an hour away, and for all of the match pass information and broadcasting regulations for today's game, go to the club's website, www.sufc.co.uk. Well, a very good afternoon. A warm welcome inside our studio here in the heart of Bramall Lane. It's a championship heavyweight clash. Norwich City looking to bounce back to the Premier League at the first time of asking against Sheffield United, the team that for much of the season so far has been top of the table. Not so now, though, on the back of 5 games without a win. So can we turn it around here at the Lane this afternoon? To see if that's possible, I'm delighted to say I've got 2 club legends alongside me in the studio, Brian Deane and Kevin Gage. Welcome along, fellas.
Hiya.
And it's also, Dino, a big day for you because this is the match programme and we've got an artist impression of Brian Deane on the front done by R.T. Bianco. What do you reckon to that, Dino? He's loving it. So we're a fan of it, are we?
Yeah, I always like to see myself, you know. So I'm not going to complain.
Is it been painted you in a good light?
I love it. To be fair, yeah, I'll be. You know what? I need to touch base with him anyway because you know I love these images. You know, I've got young kids, so it's going to be a nice little portfolio for them.
Now, Kevin, don't feel left out because if I go to page 58 and 59. We've got some of you in your heyday. You take a look at the monitor in front of us because we can see you at your athletic best.
In a big coat.
In a big coat. But it doesn't stop there. Talk us through this, Gagey.
I've no idea what's going on there, to be honest.
A bit of weight training going on.
I think I've probably still got that coat as well somewhere in the basement.
You don't seem to be putting a lot of effort in here.
Yeah, it wasn't the best facilities back in the day, was it, Dino?
It was freezing cold in there, wasn't it?
We had the worst gymnasium you've ever seen in your life.
Oh, you couldn't wait to get out.
How do you guys feel you'd go along if you were being measured by today's preparation and training facilities and regimes that go along?
I think we've managed, to be honest. I think the biggest difference these days is the standard of the pitches. I mean, that's what sets it apart. I mean, we used to get pitches like this a couple of times a season at the start of the season.
It was August, wasn't it?
Within 2 or 3 weeks, it was a bit muddy and bobbly and bumpy. So I think players in my day, in Brian's day, I think we would have adapted and coped admirably with today's facilities and conditions.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting topic of conversation, isn't it? Because I think the product that's on offer for everybody now is better, more pleasing to the eye, more entertaining. But how did you cope with these surfaces, especially when you got to the back end of autumn, late October, beginning of November, and bad weather was coming in, and you'd have a great big mud bath running up the middle of the pitch, Brian?
Do you know what? I think that it's great to see. You know, it's great from the fans' point of view and everything, but it does lend itself to more injuries. Because the pitches are hard now, really hard. I think in our day there was more giving the pitches, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. It was softer, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that is, but obviously we've taken it away from that, and it's more about the spectacle and how it looks. But listen. You ask any professional footballer, when you turn up at a ground and you see a pitch like that, that's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, it encourages you to play. You want to get out there and play football on it, yeah, definitely. I think that part of the reason we were in a long ball side under Dave Bassett, weren't we? And our style was suited those type of pitches because you couldn't play on some of the pitches we had to play on. Very, very difficult to pass the ball on with the bobbles and the hardness of the grounds.
It's funny because you just made a good point there. You know, we adapted to the conditions, a lot better than a lot of sides, because a lot of sides, you'd see some of the pitches and they were still trying to play in areas where you can't. And we knew that the areas where the grass was out wide and in the boxes. So that's where we used to play our game. There's nothing wrong with that. For me, that's being clever.
Well, and it takes us back to the age-old thing, isn't it? The playing conditions can be better, the training facilities can be better, but one thing that never changes, no matter what decade, what year it is, a team's only successful if it plays to its strength, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. We've now got a side that's likes to knock the ball around, get the ball out wide, and it suits our, the pitches we have down here, and most of the pitches we play on are very, very good. So we play to our strengths. We've got some good ball players in our side, and we like to knock the ball around. Yeah. Oliver Norwood dictating the play, yeah. So yeah, let's hope we can do the same again today.
$1 million question, Dino. If you had a surface to play on like this week in, week out when you're playing, would you score more goals?
I'd like to think so. I mean, look, it's always a kind of a subjective question, isn't it? But I'd back myself in any situation. It's funny, I've been looking at some on YouTube. There's a guy who does he does all the kind of games from the 90s and so on and so on. I was watching the game that we got beat down here against Liverpool 3-1, and I'm looking at myself against everybody else, and I'd fancy myself definitely.
Do you know, I think that might be the most subdued response to a question about yourself I've ever encountered, Dino. Very reserved. I'd have expected to say, double, triple, no problem at all. Let's turn our attention to the 11 players that take the pitch for Sheffield United this afternoon then. Here we go. Obviously on the back of the midweek defeat down at Coventry, there are no less than 4 changes into the starting lineup. John Fleck, Rhian Brewster, Billy Sharp, the club skipper, returns, and James McAtee. Doyle, McBurney and Jai all drop to the bench. Norrington Davis is obviously out, as we saw him stretch it off on Tuesday night. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, obviously the name everybody looks at immediately is John Fleck coming back in, which can only be a good thing. Obviously, vastly experienced player. We know what he's all about. So he'll provide a little bit of solidity in that midfield, and he'll work with Norwood in there. We're kind of expecting James McAtee to play a traditional number 10 floating role, which would suit his style of play. He is a midfield player, but he's not in the mould of a John Fleck. He's more of a free spirit and let him loose around the opposition penalty area. So that'll be interesting to see how he works with Norwood and Fleck in there. And then, of course, the return of Billy starting on starting berth, and Rhian Brewster up front, who's probably been kicking his heels on the bench, desperate to play. And he's finally got an opportunity. Well,
to that end, I think we can take a look at the formation we expect for Sheffield United this afternoon. And there you put your glasses on, Brian. James McAtee in that role just in the hole behind the front two. It's a bit of a throwback to the formation that saw us so successful in winning promotion to the Premier League several years back.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually think about it, and I look at the subs, and I think it's definitely we're definitely looking at a longer game here. I mean, I think the fact that Billy's starting is, we have to kind of try and match Norwich up with the experience we can get on the pitch. But I feel I think it's going to be a tough battle today. But if you've got the likes of Njai to come on later on in the game, that's where, perhaps we can get some dividends, where we can change the front two, but keep a solid sort of like platform behind them.
Well, I said right at the top that this is a heavyweight championship clash. So to that end, Gage, how important is it to have the experience, that the mental expertise as much as anything else that Billy Sharp brings to him, the knowledge on the pitch?
Yeah, Billy's always going to be important to the side, isn't he? He's got this wonderful ability to take a bit of pressure off the team by he backs into defenders and he wins free kicks and allows us to get up the pitch. He needs to play with someone like Brewster, because Billy's not going to make them 20, 30-yard runs into the channel. Get Brewster to do that and get Billy to get little bits and pieces around him. So I can see him working okay as a pair. I do see what Brian's saying. He's exactly right in that the subs are going to be vital, because it's now with 5 subs, it's a different kind of game these days. You can literally change half the team, half the outfield team in the stroke. So I think the subs are going to be absolutely vital today. Hopefully we'll be in a position where we might not need them as much. It's going to be a war of attrition, I think, today. Don't think it's going to be a battle in a physical sense, but I think it's going to be a very tense afternoon, and we need to make a fast start. We need to get hold of the ball as well, knock the ball about, because Norwich are top of the possession stats, by the way. And if they start well and keep the ball for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, I think the crowd are going to get very, very restless and get on our backs, and that could transmit itself down to the players, and they might be a little bit inhibited.
Well, without a doubt, it's a game where experience is likely to play a key role. So Billy Sharp, the club captain, returns to the starting lineup. So too does John Fleck, as does this man, the midfield maestro that is Ollie Norwood. I caught up with him just before we came on air.
Good, yeah, we're positive. You're never going to have a season where everything's perfect and, the sun's shining, everything goes well. So we expected these moments in the season, and it's how we react to it now and, come out and try and get a win today.
The strength of the squad has been tested since the start of the season with injuries. Today, 4 changes. Seems like with players coming back, it's allowed the manager to utilise the strength of this squad. Yeah,
I mean, obviously we said there was no excuses at the time when, we were fine and doing well. There was nobody talking about injuries and stuff then because we still had a lot then. We're coming to the period where we've picked a few more up, but it can't be an excuse. We've a squad for a reason. We recruited the players in the summer that the club decided to go and get, and we've got a strong squad, and as you say, it's nice to see some of the lads back out there and get some more bodies back and some more help for the lads who've been out there every week. But as I said, no excuses. We know we need to be better starting today.
What about Norwich City then? Because I think at the start of the season, we all thought if Sheffield United were to get where you want to be, teams like Norwich are the ones you're going to have to finish above.
Yeah, definitely. We said that ourselves. We said if you finish above Norwich, you're going to be in and amongst the promotion chase because, they're a good team, a good club. They've got that experience of winning promotions within the squad as we have. So yeah, they're going to be a competitor come the end of the season. We know that. Both not in the best form at the moment, but hopefully we can turn that around and their run can continue after this week.
Is it an opportunity for the Blades, given the form that Norwich come here in?
Definitely. I mean, any game at home is an opportunity for us to win. I know results last couple haven't been what we wanted, but yeah, we fancy ourselves against anybody at home, and as you say, they're on not a great run like ourselves, so it should make for an interesting game. And
finally for you, in midweek, 350 club appearances chalked up, playing first team football, quite a landmark.
Yeah, that was just championship appearances. I've got a lot more than that. No, plenty more to come. I'm enjoying my football. I've enjoyed every minute of being at Sheffield United, and hopefully there'll be a lot more to come.
Well, let's hope it's a winning note today.
Thank you.
Ollie Norwood there, just before we came on air talking to me. Very keen as well to point out, just 350 championship appearances. He's played many more for the Blades and enjoyed a lot of success at this club. But when we look at the position we find the Blades in now, Gage, Deane, is this a game where they're under pressure today, or are we seeing a team that at the moment is the victim of its own success, given the way we flew out of the blocks in the first 2 months of the season?
Look, I what the run has, and it's been a brutal run, but what it's done is it's exposed our weaknesses, and for everything that we did before then, it's kind of like, for me, it's been undone, and I don't know whether some of that's due to, the mentality that we've taken into that run. I feel like that we've talked about people stepping up, we've talked about, the way how suspensions have affected us, and it has. That just coincided with the fact that we've had a lot of injuries as well. But I think it has to be a kind of, we have to look at this as a whole and make sure that if we win today, we've got to really focus on making sure that everybody understands what we have to do to get to the end of the season in this campaign.
Is that fair comment, Gage, that the last few games have exposed the weaknesses?
I wouldn't call it weaknesses as such. I think we've got we've all been talking about the quality of our squad, and we've had to use every single one. I mean, the injuries have been quite incredible, the soft tissue injuries and things we've had to deal with. So we're down to the bare bones. But I think I like to take a more overall kind of rational view, because we're still fourth. We're 2 points off the top with a third of the season gone. If we'd been offered that after the Watford game, first game of the season, we'd have snapped your hand off. So, as you rightly said, Richard, we had an exceptional run those first 9-10 games. And we've just slipped up a bit recently for reasons that we don't need to go into, that we're all well aware of. So I think we just got to keep going and get to Christmas, get to the World Cup break maybe, get a few players back, and then we'll push on after Christmas.
Well, it's 4 changes to the team that lost at Coventry City in midweek. If you can bear it, here are the highlights.
We're underway here at the CBS Arena. Doyle's delivery into a really good area. One of United's top performers this season. Doyle into McBurney, who can turn here. Looking to thread a pass to Njayi, who's just offside. Basham, Egan, Armahodic forwards. In it goes. Might come through all the way to Armahodic. Rescued by Egan. Decent chunk of added time, 4 minutes. Doyle with the strike for United. Mahodic for a great little ball. Here's Doyle. Just too much on it. Headed away. Comes out to Baldock. Baldock again in a good position. And it goes off Mahoric's head. Put back into the mix. Bit of pinball, and Darbo gets it away. And there is the half-time whistle. Front of the Blade supporters. And it goes. It's against the crossbar from Norwood. Jai with good movement once again. Heads for the byline. Through the hands of Wilson. In by Norwood. McBurney peels away. Jai takes it early. Norwood. Disguised cross away by Rose. McBurney hits one. Gets the post from McBurney. McAtee's crossed the header. Straight at the keeper from John Egan. Gyökeres. Looking to turn Basham. Basham has brought him down, has he? Well, another huge shout. And the referee took his time before awarding a penalty kick. Waghorn scores for Coventry late on. Buries it into the bottom corner.
Not the results everyone from the Blades was hoping for on Tuesday night. And afterwards we caught up with an understandably disappointed goalkeeper, Adam Davies.
Really disappointed. We've felt like we dominated the game for a good 85 minutes there. And then to concede a penalty is kicking the teeth. But we've got to do more at the top end of the pitch and try and put the ball away and kind of be out of sight before it gets to that. So yeah, frustrated, but back to it on Saturday.
It seemed like you got quite close to the penalty as well.
Yeah, obviously went the right way, but the lads hit it really well and it's gone in the corner. So yeah, disappointing when you go the right way and don't really get near it.
Is it one of those nights tonight where concentration was key because there wasn't too much for you to do, and then of course you were brought in for that save towards the end?
Yeah, like you say, it's been a while for me as well. I've not played in 10 months or something like that, first start, so it's never easy. And then we're dominating the game, so I'm not really in the game personally, but I'm trying my best to stay in it, and then when the opportunity comes to make a save, make sure I do it. And yeah, just like I said, disappointed to concede. I was hoping for a clean sheet there with a couple of minutes to go.
How was it getting back out there after so long? I think it was early January, wasn't it, your last club game?
Yeah, like I said, it's been a while. No, I enjoyed it. It was good to be back out there. A couple more games to go now. Hopefully, start picking up some results.
So a bittersweet evening for Adam Davies, back playing first-team football from the start, but a 1-0 defeat to Coventry City side that chaps have struggled through the gates this season. Gage, I followed you on your comments on Twitter on Tuesday night, and I noticed you said we just need one moment of quality, and frustratingly, it never quite happened.
Yeah, I don't think we were at our sparkling best, were we? And Adam said that we dominated. I wouldn't go that far. I thought we were the better side. And Coventry not really a bottom of the table side. They're only bottom of the table because they've played less games. They're not bad. But I just felt that we got into some great positions, especially out wide, especially on the right with Baldock. And just once again, the final pass wasn't good enough, or he delayed and dithered a bit, or just didn't put the right ball back at the right time. And we had our opportunities. It was just a game that was asking for someone to just provide something special. It just never quite happened for us.
And I suppose, Deane, we rode our luck just a little bit, didn't we, during that game? There was a challenge earlier than the one which saw us concede a penalty from Bash that could have been a penalty. Yeah. James McAtee had a rash challenge right in front of the dugouts. It could have been worse.
Definitely. And again, we touched on it before. I think this is where having some of the quality that we haven't got available really impacts on what we're trying to do. So it could have been a lot worse a lot earlier. It's just 3 points, and so we have to look to bounce back today, back at home. It's going to be a tough game, but you just hope mentally it hasn't had too much of an impact on the team going and getting a result like that.
So what are our thoughts? If we're trying to diagnose the issues that the Blades have suffered in the last 5 games, is it injuries? Is it just as simple as a dip in form, or is it a mixture of both, and the change in formation we saw at Stoke the other week as well, all coming together to form the perfect storm?
Well, I think the best manager in the world can't do anything about the injury situation. It's just going to happen. I just think we're a victim of circumstance at the moment. I'm not going to say we've been incredibly unlucky. I think maybe in that run of good games where we won games like the Swansea game, we didn't really deserve to win, but we took home all 3 points. The balance is just tipping now, and the averages are working out, and we're maybe not getting, some of the points that we should have got in the last 4 games, 5 games. So I don't think there's anything. I'm not going to press the panic button just yet. We've still got enough good quality players out there today and in the last few games, and going forward for the next 3 games. Even if we don't get all the injured players back, we've still got enough good quality players in our team to win enough games and get these points.
And over the course of the season as well, you do need a little bit of luck and things to fall in place for you, because it's not all going to go swimmingly well, is it? If we take a look at the league table right now, coming at the start of today's games, remember Blackpool and Preston have had an early kick-off. They're entering stoppage time in that game with Blackpool winning 3-2. But there you see Sheffield United starting the day in 4th position, just 2 points adrift of QPR and Blackburn Rovers. We saw Blackburn play down here, I think it was beginning of September, Gagey, and they were not good. Yeah,
well, we took them apart, didn't we? As simple as that. We went to Preston, we beat Preston comfortably. Reading, similar situation. We've played all these teams. They're no great shakes. I think given a nearly full strength squad and our first team with 1 or 2 substitutions needed, I think we push on towards the latter part of the season, and we're going to be in the top 6 end of the season, though, come what may.
I still think that we've got perhaps the best squad in the division. I've got no doubts, and like Kevin said, if we can get some of those injuries back, we don't have any silly suspensions, because I think that's had an impact as well. Your goalkeeper and your centre forward as well. When you lose that, you have to rejig the side anyway. But if you look at the table now, being 4th isn't a bad place, because sometimes when you're at the top all the time, that's a different type of pressure. If you can just tuck in behind there. But again, you can't allow any of these gaps to start appearing, because if you we've seen it, haven't we, time after time, where somebody just hits a bit of form at the right and they're out of sight. If we hadn't have had such a bad run, we could have been 8-9 points away from everybody now.
Well, to that end, let's have a look at the run of form through October, because it does take in all 5 of these games we've been talking about. 3 defeats, 2 draws. When you look at that, what stands out to you, Brian?
The QPR result is a bad one at home. Obviously QPR at that time, then they don't look as though they're top of the table material. I think the Stoke game was really damaging. I was here doing that game, and it was one of those games where I actually said, and maybe I was out of order, but I said, we're going to find out a little bit more about the rest of the squad. And basically, we got beat 3-1 by a Stoke team that are playing very badly this season, let's be honest.
And that was a time when Hecky tried to change formation as well, and it didn't work for us, did it? We just didn't look comfortable in that.
No, not at all. And then, we come back, we're 2-0 up against Blackpool, and then it takes a wonder goal at the end of the game to get us a point. So, these are all factors. But again, I always like to point to the mentality. I think that, sometimes there's a point where there's a manager who has to manage in his squad. But I also feel that the players need to take that on board for themselves and manage those situations. Okay,
well, Brian's dissected the last 5 games. Gagey, let's take a look at the 5 games to come now for Sheffield United. And we start next week with West Bromwich Albion, an early kick-off. And then going forward, that takes us, I think, right through to after the World Cup break. When you look at those games, do we have cause to be optimistic?
Well, I'm always optimistic, you know me. I look on the positive side. West Bromwich Albion and Bristol City, they're 2 relatively, I'm not going to say easy games, because they're away fixtures, but you'd expect to go, not in normal circumstances, you'd expect to go there and not get beaten. So if you're looking at a point each there, those 2 home games are the crucial games for me, aren't they?
Well, I was going to say, because when you look at that, the game that stands out is the home game against Burnley, isn't it? But you've got to win the other games as well if you're going to be successful.
Well, you don't have to beat Albion, you don't have to beat Bristol City. I'd like to think we go there and we get at least a point each. You know, if we nick a win, great. But the 2 home games are the ones we have to focus on. Burnley's going to be very, very difficult, of course. They're a top quality side. And local derby against Rotherham, well, you know, no matter where they are in the table, it's always going to be a flashpoint game. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be difficult because it's a patchwork side at the moment. We haven't got a full strength side at the moment out there. We've still got lots of people injured. They're beginning to come back. John Fleck coming back. I think Robinson will be close to playing today. I think he will make a difference when he comes back. Just have a left-sided player going at that left centre back the way we play. It's important that the left-sided player joins in, and I think naturally Robinson would do that. And his defensive qualities as well. He does win good headers for us. He makes crucial tackles, and he gets us going. He gets the crowd going. And I think today that's what we may need.
Briefly, Dino, your thoughts?
I think those are 5 fixtures, and you know we know that promotion form is 2 points per game. If we can get 10 points from those next 5 games, then we're back on track. So that's what I think really we have to look at if we're going to be realistic about the top 2.
That's the positive attitude we're looking for, Brian. We like that heading into today's game against Norwich City. And if we need a few more positive vibes heading into this game, let's take a look into the Bramall Lane archives. We'll take you back to March 2020. Both Norwich and Sheffield United were in the Premier League, and 3 points stayed here at the Lane.
Some space on the right, chips the ball into the area, but Bernie with the header, tipped over by Krul. Here comes the corner from the left-hand side, deep into the area. Pukki's got the header down the middle. It's only partially cleared, and Pukki has rattled the ball against the post. Norwood towards the back stick. It's going to be kept in play and dropped down. O'Connell's there. Going to come out towards Egan, who turns, strikes, it goes. O'Connell! It's deflected off the line. Back out to the far side. The Blades have re-established themselves. Lundstrom into the area. Brilliant cross! Billy Sharp! Bullet header! You just do not leave that man unmarked in the box. Wonderful stuff from the skipper. It's 3 goals in 4 for him. He scored in the week. He scored again today. And with 9 minutes to go in the opening half, Sheffield United have the lead. The Blades 1, Norwich City 0. Back out to Fleck on the left-hand side, who's taking it beyond Campbell. Fleck, delicious ball towards the back post, header away to Lundstrom, who strikes one, just a yard wide. And to Stevens, to the byline. Stevens drills it across, comes off a Norwich shirt, comes out to Sharp. Sharp towards the back post, back out to Lundstrom, who shouts for it into the middle. McBurney tries to get the ball overhead, headed out to the edge of the area. Lundstrom trying to get it down, comes back to Norwood. Norwood into the box for Billy Sharp. Sharp with a touch on Lundstrom, strikes towards goal. Buendia towards the back post, headed towards goal. Deane Henderson saves, it's off the line. Deane Henderson again, David McGoldrick away. If he saved that, that is an absolutely world-class save again. Ball into the area, Basham's there with a little back header. It's going to struck towards goal. Brilliant save by Henderson. 30 seconds to go. Buendia will strike from distance, and that should be that.
Not for the first time. Club captain Billy Sharp, the difference between the 2 sides on that occasion. And Gage, what screamed out of that footage for me was the atmosphere inside the stadium. I think that really puts the emphasis on the first goal today, doesn't it? You get that, get the crowd behind you, and suddenly the whole complexion of the game changes.
Yeah, that goes back to what I said about 5 minutes ago. I think it's going to be tense, you know, for the first 15, 20 minutes, because Norwich do like to get the ball down and knock the ball about. You're right, the first goal is always important. Having said that, last home game we scored the first 2
Well,
goals.
I wasn't going to mention that.
And it all went horribly wrong. So, you know, it does work the other way.
But we have seen it time and time again, Dino, haven't we? Because of the nature of this stadium, it's tight, the stands have the fans pretty much on the pitch. It becomes an intimidating atmosphere if you get everyone behind you.
I think that because of the nature of the fact that it is Norwich, you know, that in itself will help the players to prepare for a really tough battle, because they know Norwich are going to be up there and they're going to be measured against a side that expects to be in the top, in the playoff places at the very minimum. So I think from that point of view, we're going to see a very, like Kevin said, a very tight, tense game, you know, and we're relying on some of the quality that we've got up front to take us through. You know, we talked about Billy being on there, you know, using his experience to kind of guide us and mould us for the day. And then perhaps, you know, in the second half, we bring on Njai, who is, you know, perhaps a match winner. You know, so, and at the same time, keeping it tight at the back, because they have got a very good forward in you know, in Pookie. So
I think sometimes also it may not be just one, even a goal or a chance or a shot. Sometimes it's something as simple as a tackle, something like that, you know, right in front of the dugouts or in front of the crowd. You know, Robinson or Basham steams into a tackle and it gets the crowd lifted and the whole stadium gets it. Or somebody chasing a lost cause in the corner here, you know, keeping it in play and getting a corner or something, and the crowd's suddenly lifted. So all things like that come into the mix.
Well, we said right at the top, it's a big game, and whoever's in charge of the PA system feels it as well, because they've certainly ramped up the volume of the PA inside the stadium. 3 points would certainly set everybody off on the right foot if they can be achieved here against Norwich City today. A reminder of the fixtures to come as well, because they continue to come thick and fast. West Bromwich Albion is a lunchtime kickoff, 12:30 next Saturday, SUTV live on air from midday. And then it's down to Bristol City, a midweek game for that one, 7:45 kickoff. And then in a couple of weeks' time, Burnley are here at Bramall Lane. Big game in itself for that one, no doubt. They come relentlessly at this stage of the year for Sheffield United in the Championship, and it's likely to shape the way it looks going into Christmas, with the World Cup break coming up as well. And a reminder of Christmas, if you're looking for that prized gift to give to a loved one or a Blades fan that you know, we might have just the answer. The third string kit is available to pre-order now. Take a look at this. We have just a little under half an hour to go to kick off here at Bramall Lane. Norwich City are in town for the men's team today. The women are back in action tomorrow afternoon, also here at Bramall Lane. They suffered a disappointing 3-1 defeat to league leaders Bristol City last weekend. But ahead of tomorrow's game against newly promoted Southampton, we caught up with Blades women, Maddie Cusack.
A bit of the unknown, really. So I've never played Southampton in my career before, due to them being in some of the lower tiers, but now they're in the Championship. I know they've got a fantastic backing from their men's side and as a club anyway, so I think there'll be a tough test. They've got one of our former players playing for them, which in Katie Wilkinson, which is a really good striker, so she'll be tough to face at the weekend. But yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to it. We're looking to try and get the 3 points and better ourselves from the weekend. But yeah, a test that hopefully we'll do well in.
And this particular weekend, the men's and the women's game, Sheffield United showing the support to the Rainbow Laces campaign.
Yeah, that's something that's really important and something that is really good that the club's highlighting. We've got a number of things, I think, that in the pipeline that the club are doing across both days, which is just fantastic and really good to support such an important campaign. And
your role within the marketing team as well, you're right to the heart of that, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been nice. It's nice to see things kind of come to fruition that you're put into place. So I know we've got a number of things, such as rainbow numbers and stuff on shirts, which will be really good. And I think for the Championship, it's a landmark, because it will be the first club that's done that. So kind of on a personal note, it's nice to have put that into practice. And yeah, hopefully they'll look great at the weekend.
How have you and some of the younger players found playing in front of 1,000 supporters every week? It's a different kind of atmosphere, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. And playing at the Lane's fantastic. We all love it. We can't wait to play at the Lane each game that we're at home. And yeah, to have that support and that backing, it really does make a difference when you're playing. You've got the crowd behind you and on your side. So yeah, it's fantastic to see more and more supporters coming to watch women's football.
Sheffield United's women in action here at Bramall Lane tomorrow. They're currently 6th in the table behind newly promoted Southampton, who are 15th, and they are the joint top scorers in the division with 13 goals in 5 games. Maddie Cusack looking ahead to that one with us here on SUTV Live, and she plays a key role in Sheffield United's Rainbow Laces campaign. Today's game against Norwich City has been chosen as the club's game of action, supporting the Rainbow Laces campaign, championing diversity, equality and inclusion. Take a look at this.
The one thing that we pride ourselves on as Blades is that we are truly united as a fan group.
Football is so far behind the times when it comes to eradicating discrimination.
And that needs to change.
So it's up to us to stand together, be united.
LGBT plus people should be able to go to stadiums and support Sheffield United as their authentic selves.
It's celebrating the uniqueness in people.
I want to create as many opportunities as possible as an ally to engage people in a physically active and healthy life regardless of their background.
Football is for everyone.
In a time when society finds it so easy to be divided, it'd be great if we could sing from the same hymn sheet with the same voice to make a bigger difference.
I don't believe people should choose between their passions and being their authentic selves.
Allyship means that I can be confident and comfortable in my own skin.
Everyone can campaign for fair treatment, equality and equal love.
Why be an ally? Why wouldn't you be?
I am an ally because I think it's important to stand up, speak out.
It makes me happy knowing other people support who I am and who I want to be.
I'm an ally because I believe in people having the freedom of choice.
Everyone should feel comfortable being who they want to be, not just in football matches but everywhere.
You don't have to be an expert to be an ally. It's about standing up and standing in solidarity with the LGBTQ+ community.
I'm very, very proud to be an ally.
I'm a Rainbow Blades ally because Sheffield United is an inclusive football club.
Allyship means that you speak up for me and my community.
We're all part of one family.
We should all be allies. We should all be united.
The Blades are a family, and that's all that matters.
We're all Blades, aren't we?
Maddie Cusack, one of many Sheffield United allies in the club's campaign to support the Rainbow Laces campaign. Sheffield United's women, a reminder, in action here at Bramall Lane tomorrow. Today, it's the turn of the men, looking to get back to winning ways at home to Norwich City, and we can take a look at the Sheffield United team news. A reminder that there are 4 changes in that Sheffield United team to take on Norwich for the one that lost midweek to Coventry City. Amongst those changes, the return to the starting lineup of club captain Billy Sharp, who's partnered up front with Rhian Brewster, and this is how they will line up on the pitch come kick-off. A bit of a throwback to the days when we won promotion to the Premier League, with James McAtee assuming the role in the hole behind the front two. When we look at that, gents, it's a fairly attacking-minded lineup, isn't it?
The way it's set up, yeah, that's the way we hope McAtee's going to play, because if he just plays on the, obviously Fleck's going to play on the left-hand side, we don't really think that McAtee's going to be on the right-hand side of Norwood, because he's left-footed. He'll end up coming inside. So we need him to be a traditional number 10 and to float everywhere around the pitch. We don't mind, he could end up in the left wing, on the right wing, just use his natural creative talent, his attacking ability, which we all know he's got because he's a Man City player and he's highly thought of there. So you're not a Man City player if you haven't got any ability at all, are you? So let's give him the freedom to play. Go and do your stuff. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet, and today could be an opportunity for him.
Brian, it's a formation these players know well. Yeah. Hecky knows it well because he was here as part of the coaching staff when Chris Wilder was here and being successful. Is there a sense here that Hecky's looked at the recent form, looked at Tuesday night's performance in particular, said, right, we need to shake things up, just freshen it up?
Yeah, possibly. I think also we've touched on the fact that Norwich are very much a possession-based side, and so you've got a really strong core in the middle of the park there. So we've got to hope that we're going to get a lot of influence from the wing backs, and then we can just let the two guys do what they've got to do up front. We've touched on McAtee floating everywhere, but it just gives us an opportunity to get very solid very quickly. If the ball's on the other side, all of a sudden he's tucking in. We've got a very solid shape. So yeah, I think that makes it a very flexible system for us today.
In recent times especially, we've learnt that possession doesn't necessarily translate into positive results and victories. And if we take a look at the recent form for the visitors, Norwich City, this afternoon, we'll see that that's borne out here, because they've lost 3 straight. It's 4 games without a win. I looked at Dean Smith's record coming into this game. And there's been 47 games he's taken charge of, the majority in the Premier League, but only 13 wins. 7 of those have come this season in the Championship. You see him there. Is he a man under pressure?
Well, results would say so, yeah. But results can be deceptive. I just looked at that. They've played some good sides there. QPR, near the top of the league. Luton, we know how difficult Luton are. And Preston just coming into a bit of Watford as well. They're up the top there. So, I don't think they're a bad side. I think they're just the results have gone against them. I think they'll be coming here. I don't think they'll play maybe an open, expansive game. They'll be well aware that we're not in the best form as well. And I think they'll try and play a little bit more cautious than maybe normal. I think they'll be coming here trying to think if we can just stop this run of defeats and get a point, I think that's a very good result for us at Sheffield United this afternoon. So I think it'll be up to us to open them up at times.
Is it an opportunity for us this afternoon, Brian? I said to Ollie Norwood right at the top of the show, given the form Norwich come here in, is it an opportunity?
It's certainly an opportunity from the point of view of, it's more of a 50-50 game. If we were looking at a team that was down the bottom end of the table, I can understand that the players would be under a lot more anxiety going into the game. But it's a game that we can quite easily lose, if that makes sense, and people don't analyze on it. And more so the other way, I think that it's a great opportunity to play a top team and get 3 points.
Well, let's take a look at the starting 11 for the Canaries then this afternoon here at Bramall Lane. They also make 4 changes to the side that lost in midweek. Hayden, Marcelino, Giannoulis and Cantwell all starts today. Out go McLean, who's suspended, Gibbs, Sara and Sinani. They will play in a 4-3-3 formation, which they only went to in the last week or two, and it hasn't really worked so far, Gage.
Well, they're just struggling for performances and results, aren't they? So they're just trying anything. It's strange to see a team come to Sheffield United, come here and play with 4 at the back, because most teams play with the 3 centre halves and the wing backs. They match us up, so that would be interesting as well. Maybe Hecky has decided to, if they're playing with 2 centre halves, maybe we can get McAtee free and roaming around their defence, in that little hole. So that may have come into his thinking. I'm sure it probably has. Norwich they're a decent side. Let's make no bones about it. They've got some good players. Yeah, Sargent scoring the goals. Campbell's good in midfield. They've got decent players all round. They're ex-Premiership players. They were in the Premiership last year. So they've kept the bulk of the squad and just added to it. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be an interesting game of football and hopefully a good quality game of football as well.
Well, since you say they've got some decent players, we've picked out 5 to potentially watch in this game. And like you say, there's some well-known names there. I mean, Timo Pukki's been doing it for a number of seasons now up front for them.
Yeah, we know what he's all about. He's their kind of Billy Sharp, isn't he? He just flits here, there and everywhere. He makes runs. He's a nuisance, basically. He hasn't got amongst the goals yet, which will be a concern for Norwich, but I'm sure he will, because his previous history and his record says he's always got some goals. As I said, they're not spectacularly good. They're not going to run away with the division like Fulham did and other clubs have done in previous years, but I fully expect them to be a top 6 side. And it's going to be a scalp if we can beat them today. Well,
young Josh Sargent is their leading goal scorer. He's got 8 already this season. It strikes me that they're not a team that struggles up front. They've just struggled recently to put results together, Brian.
Yeah, and again, we mentioned it. Pukki hasn't started scoring yet. They're going to be up there, but all sides go through this. It kind of worries me a little bit when you see that because teams haven't won, that the manager instantly becomes under pressure. That can be unsettling, and you really need a good support base behind you. It's not always going to go right, and it's okay for us in the stand or the fans to be kind of saying, well, we didn't do this or we didn't do that, but it's an ever-evolving situation within a club, how the team is set up to play in a game.
You get the feeling Norwich will come good, won't they? A bit like Watford kind of will as well. They've got too good a squad to not come good. Interestingly, the 2 teams who've had the most shots in this division so far, Sheffield United and Norwich. So we should have an entertaining game. Exactly. I think it will be a technically good game of football. Don't think it's going to be a war of attrition. Not going to be bodies flying everywhere and tackles made here or there. No. I think it will be a good technical game of football, and it's whoever shows that real bit of quality at the right time in the crucial areas in both penalty boxes that will come out on top.
We have to get our crowd behind us, and like when you talk about Fleck being in there, Norwood, these are the kind of players that can set the tone and the tempo. tempo's always important for me. You know, we have to play with speed. We have to look to, you know, for want of a word, we have to look to turn them. You know, Grant, sorry, what's his second name? Grant, the big centre back.
Four.
Yeah.
We'll call him
Grant.
The big centre back.
The unit at the back. He's not going to like it when the ball's, you know, when the ball's down the side and he's being turned. You know, defenders don't like that. So that's what we have to focus on when we've got Bruce.
Grant Hanley was the name you were looking for.
Grant Hanley, yeah. That's what we have to focus on, making sure that they're uncomfortable in defending situations.
Well, we're hoping it's going to be a good game to watch. We're hoping, come what may, it'll be 3 points for the Blades. And one man who'll be hoping to have an impact at some point today is Iliman Njai. He starts on the bench. He's been in fine goal-scoring form for much of this season. We caught up with him in an SUTV Live exclusive ahead of today's game.
Yeah, I was pleased with my display, but would have been even more pleased if, obviously, we won the game or score goals. You know, it hasn't been a really good couple of games, you know. We've only drawn and lost, so we hope to put it right tomorrow.
You've had a strong run in the side this season, 6 goals for the campaign now, nearly as many as last season. What have you done to improve that aspect of your game?
I think I've worked really hard on that, you know, getting more the finishing sessions in, stuff like, you know, Jack Lester, you know, we always talk about like getting in the box and things like that, so. Yeah, I think I've got a good chance to even score more.
You're starting games week in, week out now, Iliman. How do you think your overall game consistency has improved?
I think one of the things is I've been, you know, more professional. You know, seeing obviously last year coming from the academy to the first team, obviously seeing where everyone's doing or what they're doing. This year, obviously, it's been different. You know. Getting obviously working harder, getting more stuff in, like things like massages, or getting extra work in. So, yeah, I think that's helped a lot.
I know you're fully concentrated on Sheffield United at the moment, but there is the carrot of a World Cup appearance possibly at the end of the calendar year.
Yeah. Well, right now obviously I'm playing in the club. I'm focused on obviously all the games that are coming here, and obviously the rest will take care of itself. You know, if I perform and things like that. So.
Do you sometimes have to pinch yourself, Iliman? It's not that long ago that you were playing for Boreham Wood and now you're a seasoned international with Senegal.
I think it's just a self-belief and all of that, you know. I just have always believed in myself. Obviously now I'm at Sheffield United in a great club, and obviously try to always push myself to even do better and obviously help the team win.
Moving on to this game against Norwich, it's been a bit of a difficult run for United, but Norwich have also lost a few games as well. What can we expect from them?
They're going to come at us because they're probably obviously seen our run as well. We're going to go at them just like they will do, and I feel like it's going to be a fight. So we're ready, and yeah.
And a lot of games still to come before that international break. How important is this period of the season?
I think it's really important. We want to go into the international break on a good note. Obviously, I think it just starts tomorrow, you know. But like I said, we just worked, we're working hard to put things right again and kick on from tomorrow.
You can tell from Iliman's demeanour there, they're just itching to turn this form around. But he's been one of the bright lights so far this season for Sheffield United, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, for me, he's an excellent player. You know, I saw him for the first time last season, and I thought, okay, let's see what he's got. And he's come in and he's kicked on again, and he's become a very central figure in the squad now. You know, he's the one who offers something a little bit different to everybody else. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see what impact he has, because he's not a player who you're saying, well, if he comes on, he will come on at some stage in this game, no doubt.
It's no bad thing, is it, Gage, that the strength is such now with Billy Sharp fit and Ryan Brewster able to play again that you can say to Iliman, okay, you start this one on the bench, and if there was any diminishing of the fire burning, that'll have been reignited now.
Yeah, I mean, I must confess, I'd have played him stay. I think the number 10 role that we've just talked about, McAtee, I think it's perfect for Iliman Ndiaye. I do really think that. But yeah, what a season he's had so far. I said at the start of the season it's going to be an important season for him, and I thought he would step up because he's seen what happened to Morgan Gibbs-White. He's played alongside him all last season, and he's seen Gibbs-White get a £40 million transfer into Premier League. He's probably thinking, well, I'm as good as you, Morgan. You know, I fancy some of that, so this is my time to shine. And boy, has he shone, because he's been brilliant. He's such a good player.
OK, Kevin, it's time for us to part ways and allow you to take your position in the commentary booth. Before you go, though, how's it going today? You've said it's going to be tense. You expect a difficult game, but are we going to have enough to turn this around?
My heart says yes.
You're stammering. That worries me,
Yeah,
Gage.
my heart says yes, and I desperately want us to get all 3 points, but I genuinely think it's going to be a scoring draw.
Scoring draw. All right, Gagey. Well, we'll hear a bit more from you in a short while. Thanks for your time. What about the manager, Paul Heckingbottom? Well, we caught up with him a few days ago ahead of this game, and he's under no illusion as to the task that lies ahead.
Yeah, tough one, a good one. I think anyone who's wanting to compete in this league, achieve, have to be seeing them as a team that you want to be finishing above if you want to do well. So that's what we think. I've seen quite a bit of them, and they're a good footballing side, create chances, and listen, they're in similar form to us in terms of results, but there's also been very similar games to ours. When I've seen their games, a couple of them that they've lost, they could have been outside and been well up in the first 20-30 minutes. So the pose problems, which we know, as most teams do, just come down from the Premier League. They've got good firepower. So I think it's going to be a very good game, and one that we tend to relish and everyone tends to enjoy at Bramall Lane. The away team come in to challenge us being up for the challenge, the fans being up for the challenge, and really creating that atmosphere that we all enjoy.
Norwich have lost 3 on the spin, but before that they also won 6 on the bounce. If you can win 6 on the bounce in this league, you've got to be a good side, haven't you?
It's a crazy league. You look at when Blackburn were at the top and they've lost more games than Coventry, were down near the bottom, albeit Coventry had a lot of games in hand, 4th position. But yeah, we know it's listen, every season this league throws up those things, and you strive for consistency, and I think I've been saying it all along. And the ones who get the most consistency will be right up there. We've tended to have it in terms of performance, but not been churning the results out that we need. But sometimes some things are out of your control, and we have to keep focusing on us. Less mistakes, more ruthless at the top end, and then, like I said, the results come, and anyone who's continually or consistently picking up points, your 3s and your 1s, will be up there.
Just 7 minutes to go to kick off here in Bramall Lane. A big crowd on hand for what is undoubtedly a heavyweight championship clash. Norwich City are the visitors. They're in town today. Both clubs in the midst of a run of poor form. Sheffield United, without doubt, looking to turn it around here on home soil today. Brian Deane still alongside me in the studio. What are the keys to this game if the Blades are going to come out on top?
I think being solid. We've touched on the fact that they have a very good, they're a very good passing team. The wing backs for me are going to be key, getting up and giving us that width, and then it's how we manage the situation with the front four. The front four being, we have Ndiaye and McBurney on the bench. What kind of handover do we give to them from the two who are starting, Billy and Ryan Brewster? That's the key from our point of view. If we do those things well, then I feel we will win. But, they have threats as well. So, I'm sure that the players will understand the magnitude of this game. It's just whether or not we have enough to kind of deal with the crowd, the anxiety that the crowd are going to have, and whether we have enough captains on the pitch at that time, enough players who are going to step up and say, this is a big game for us, because it is. Make no mistake, our last 5 games, we've struggled, and going into a 6th game, you then start putting pressure on yourself for the next game. So this is a huge game.
And when you mention captains, there shouldn't be any issue with that, should there? When you look across the lineup, Egan, Basham, Billy Sharp, Norwood, Fleck. There's plenty of experience there, and these are the type of games when that experience comes to the fore.
Well, it is, but confidence affects us all, you know. And if you're in that run, you know, who's the one who's going to say, okay, forget about everything else that's going on. We've got a job to do. And believe me, I'm not sat here thinking it's easy, because I've been in those situations as well. But it does take somebody who decides, I'm going to take the game by the scruff of the neck and be the first spark.
So often Billy Sharp's been that man, hasn't he?
Absolutely. And you know, with the combination of the two, you know, I spoke earlier about us getting down the sides. You know, if Brewster does that and puts a ball in the box, you know, you'd pick Billy over a lot of people. Okay, he's not as mobile as he was perhaps, but when you get to that situation, it's all about experience in that 18-yard box, and he's as good as anybody.
Before Gage left us, he sounded perhaps as nervous as I've heard him this season when I've asked him for a prediction. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to say that we're going to win, and I say that because I don't think it's a game we can afford to lose based on the last 5 results. So I'm going to go with my heart and say that we'll get a result today. Yes, it might paper over some of the issues, but I really feel that the players will be aware of this, and we'll know after 10-15 minutes whether or not, you know, they've bought into what it means to win this game or get a good result.
And let's be honest, at the moment, the performance doesn't really matter. The result is key, isn't it?
Result is absolutely key. We're playing against one of the top teams in the division, and I think the crowd will forgive you for not performing in a way but getting a result. That's the most important thing today.
Okay, the result is the most important thing. The players are taking to the pitch here at Bramall Lane. A heavyweight championship clash. Sheffield United against Norwich City at the Lane. Let's hand you over to your match commentary team. In a moment you'll hear from Kevin Gage, but first of all, as ever, it's Matt Young.